105. The Black Mesa compound is maintained at a pleasant 68 degrees at all times.
Black Mesa was developed by Crowbar Collective, and the full version dropped sometime around 2020. I played this many years ago, before Zen and the other content. The game is a solid remake. They had to cut some corners here and there because the size and scale of the original Half-Life was just kind of too big to port fully. The original Half-Life, at least in my opinion, is one of the best shooter experiences that has ever been made. I probably replayed the original a dozen times over the last 2 decades since its release. The intro section is lovingly crafted. The Black Mesa facility looks significantly larger now, although about what my imagination told me the facility looked like when I played the original all those years ago. Still, the improvements here are many and diverse, showing the facility prior to the invasion. There's almost too much to see, and the rail doesn't slow down for most of it. We pass by Barney at a security door, likely waiting for Blue Ship's remake to finish. There are actually quite a few active offices and security checkpoints throughout this entire sequence, greatly expanding the sightseeing aspect of this linear ride. One scientist even waves to us as we pass by. At a security checkpoint, a guard opens the gate for the transit system. There's even the sparking on the rails as they attach, which I remember seeing the first time I played the original Half-Life. The military chopper is even landing outside. We even get a glimpse of the weird quad walker as it goes down to the hazardous materials leak that a pair of scientists are, let us say, dealing with, so to speak.
Contact your radiation safety officer immediately. Work safe. Work smart. Your future depends on it.
Hey, Mr. Freeman. I had a bunch of messages for you, but we had a system crash about, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, and I'm still trying to find my files. Just one of those days, I guess. They were also having some problems down in the test chamber, too, but I think that's all straightened out. They told me to make sure you headed down there as soon as you got into your hazard suit.
After causing as much havoc as possible, messing with the controls, pulling the fire alarm, and burning someone's microwavable soup, it is finally time to get into the HEV suit.
It's happening!
Cut it out!
My horoscope was correct.
Come on, Gordon.
Good heavens!
What the hell?
Everyone has something to say as we head down into the test chamber area.
On inventing something new and unique.
He does have a point.
Oh, but this is more than replication, I assure you. For one, it shows how far our field has come since the original study was published, and to say nothing of the modern perspective necessary to monitor its influence. I mean, combined with today's technology, I've recreated... I can't stand to hear another word of this malarkey. I remember my days in the hazardous environment suit. Of course, at the time, it was Mark III. Mind you, the base color wasn't so loud, and the helmet wasn't optional or ventilated. There wasn't an integrated waste disposal system either. Count your lucky stars. Have you ever seen those electromyographic sensors in the old biomechatronic Mark I? A marvel of modern engineering. I worked on the underwater breathing apparatus for the suit, but it was eventually discarded. I say, that suit certainly flatters your fundament.
This whole sequence remains true to form, with the scientists in the test chamber even dragging out the R's.
Sent the sample down to the test chamber.
We've boosted the anti-mass spectrometer to 105%. Bit of a gamble, but we needed the extra resolution.
The administrator is very concerned that we get a conclusive analysis of today's sample. I gather he went to some lengths to get it.
They're waiting for you, Gordon, in the test chamber.
Right. Come on then. I'll walk you down.
Greetings, Eli.
These two characters are important in a different game. Don't worry about it right now, though.
Well,
Gordon, good morning. I'm glad you're here. These last-minute changes, they're a bit strange to just... Oh! It's about to go critical.
what in the blazes is going on with our equipment?
It was never meant to do this in the first place.
Nowadays, I wonder if this very long-witted and verbose intro sequence might not play particularly well with an audience. The player doesn't really get to any action throughout all of this, and even for a while after just running around with a crowbar. This whole setup is feeding into the nostalgia for anyone who played the original, and I feel it's top tier if you did play it before. There is so much dialogue to explore in most of the rooms and areas leading up to the test chamber, I couldn't possibly put them all here. We are let inside after a brief sequence and make sure that theoretical physics degree is put to good use climbing a ladder and pushing a button. Hooray for science.
All right, Gordon. Your suit should keep you comfortable through all this. The specimen will be delivered to you in a few moments. Now, if you would be so good as to climb up and start the rotors, that way we can bring the anti-mass spectrometer to 80% and hold it there until the carrier arrives. Standard insertion or non-standard specimen. What the hell? Oh my God! Shut it down! Shutting down! Someone get him out of there and shut it down! It's not shutting down! Oh no!
Naturally, everything goes wrong. The teleportation sequence is quite a bit different, and we catch a glimpse of the enslaved Vortigaunts in both their slaughter as well as their liberation. Clearly, we see you in Black Mesa. I stop at the scientist doing CPR, expecting him to resuscitate the security guard. Am I remembering wrong? I thought that in the original he managed to bring that Barney back, but perhaps it has been too long, and my memory is lost. We move through the devastated remains of the test labs, taking an elevator up, which seems like a bad idea and a disaster, and are later shown just how bad of an idea that is when one falls. Kleiner gets to discover Lamar, which is a nice touch.
Stomach is. Hello? Ooh, you certainly went out, don't you?
Beyond some hazards and head crabs, we find the security guard. He is momentarily surrounded and stun-locked, but unlike the original, he doesn't seem to die and tanks all of it like a Chad. He kills them and escorts me the whole way. Somehow I still manage to keep taking damage instead of staying behind him like I'm probably supposed to. I get the crowbar and immediately beat down some zombies. I get to watch the scientists win with the monitor and then immediately die a second later. My memories of the original mixed with the earlier version of Black Mesa and now this one are jumbled and conflicted. I move through the jumbled memories, working to find a way to lower the temperature in one section so I can cross it. I find a scientist who will open a door and leave him there to clear the way first. I need all the ammo and health I can scrounge, especially since I don't remember where everything is. This is halfway a new experience for me.
I know where you can find some.
I arrive at the head crab elevator. I remember this is a particularly fun fight on hard difficulty in both versions. After finding my way through the ventilation into the locked security checkpoint, I take the elevator down. I take a whole lot of damage, but reach the bottom only to die and get an achievement for my failure. The second time, I also die. Whatever skills I may have had in this game are long gone. I seem to be relearning everything as we go. Can't wait till we get to the Marines. At the broken bridge, I blow up an explosive barrel and end up killing everything below, making this entire room relatively trivial. I do get my first taste of bull squids. They're going to be problematic for me in the future. This whole section seems shorter, I feel. They do have this jumping across the crates above a bottomless pit, however. Never was really good at this, and this one seems a lot larger. Parkour isn't my best skill, unless I'm playing something like Warframe, but then, yeah, you can't really fall in Warframe. I fall once before figuring out the process, and then I'm able to effortlessly jump across. There's a storage warehouse-like area with hound eyes spawning in it. Managed to shoot an explosive barrel causing a chain reaction that killed a bunch of them. The final one I finish off, somehow not getting blown up in the process myself. In spite of all the issues we've seen with all these elevators, I take yet another one. Seems like I should find the stairs, considering how many of these just fall. Inside one of the offices that I have to crawl through a ventilation shaft to get to, I can shut down the electricity in order to cross the otherwise active electrical field. There's a scientist that claims people are going to come down and rescue them, and he's just going to stay put. I unfortunately leave him to die. He doesn't know it yet, but there's no rescue coming. There's a flare on the ground. I pick it up, intending to deal with the head crabs that are all over the place. I set one on fire. This in turn activates the fire suppression system. I'll be back through here in a bit with some extra firepower to deal with the surprise that is going to happen. There's a Barney behind the fence, but I know he'll get ambushed soon, so I await his partner coming in to kill him. For some reason he backs up to try to block my shots, but I have a good line of sight on the zombie. I have to succeed here because there's a shotgun and I'm going to need it to deal with the Vortigons. They have some new moves apparently. Back here in the fire suppression corridor, we're ambushed by zombies. I take too much damage, but we fight them off. The Barney I rescued stays behind, commenting on how he's going to stay here in case this electrified room is a dead end. I climb in the vent, and on the other side there are head crabs that I have to deal with, but for some reason I take way too much damage. Maybe someday I'll learn to dodge. Probably not, though.
Seek medical attention.
I find the first automated turret. It kills the scientists and the head crabs. I run ahead after it has closed up into its shell, raising the lift and thinking there should be a button to turn it off. There isn't, but whacking it with the crowbar seems to work just as well. Up the stairs, I encounter another Barney. I leave them behind as I enter a room and see a pair of scientists getting pulled through the ventilation and killed. I know there's an ambush coming up, but for some reason, I tell the Barneys to follow me.
Holy shit! That thing tore them to pieces. I don't think we should stick around.
The Vorties warp in, and I get blocked by my own team, taking far more damage than I probably should have. The shotgun finishes up the Vorties as they do their little dodging dance. Pretty annoying, but, you know, it's better than just kind of standing there and soaking up all the damage you throw at them. Further in this section, I find a scientist who wants to leave while the other remains behind. I take her along as I might need someone to open a door eventually. With 3 NPCs running along with me, I feel like I'm an opposing force, a good version of that Half-Life game. I encounter the scientists listening in on communications about the soldiers that are coming to rescue them. I know better, of course, but we'll play along for now. The gun turret up the stairs is tricky, requiring me to leave my team below and go on ahead so that they don't get in my way and also get killed. Yet another Barney joins my RPG-style crew. He is also convinced the military isn't going to massacre everything that moves. Unfortunately, he won't be able to find out. I blow up the cafeteria with my grenades. You can roll them. Provides a little more predictable explosion location. There are a lot of head crabs and zombies present here, but I managed to clear them out, depleting my grenade stock in the process. I could have brought my team in, but I'm seeing how far I can princess carry them before they expire. There's another scientist in the freezer, and we save her from a couple zombies.
I'd be protected in here. Is there no safe haven from these abominations?
I know there's a bull squid here. I knew before I got to the freezer. In spite of knowing this, however, he still manages to hit me a couple of times. Their aim seems to be just impeccable. For some reason, though, the bull squid explodes after dying. This is interesting foreshadowing, if any of it was actually true. These guys can't climb, so they'll get to the elevator and then not be able to continue forward, whereas I'll go further up and find an elevator that actually works.
But with all the elevators out of order...
We can still climb.
Somehow, I've acquired an entire squad of Barneys and scientists. We shall go forth and conquer Black Mesa, clearing it room by room. Together, we clear out this whole section, and I realize I should have had these soldiers with me the whole way. We could have cleared out this whole section together instead of me attempting to, like, princess carry them. They don't need to be princess carried. They can carry themselves. At least until we get to the ladder. One scientist complains he can't make the jump, and then as if to prove it, I jump and fail to make the jump, realizing why he couldn't make it if I couldn't make it. We also go up and we find the scientist that's holding on, who eventually falls to his death. I remember this happened in the original, and I tried a couple of times before realizing it was scripted to try to save him before he fell. Here's yet another elevator. In spite of the elevators being mentioned being out, we take an elevator up to the next chapter. We've got hostiles. I'm really looking forward to fighting the HECU again.
They're coming for us! It's our only way out! Oh my god! We're doomed!
The game generally gives me plenty of health and HEV armor at the start. We know what's ahead here. I set off the sentry guns and use the explosive boxes to knock them over. There's some dead Hiku here. They are likely the ones that set up the turrets before they were overrun. Beyond that, there are some head crabs that pop in and I have to deal with those, and then there are trip mines, which I have to jump over. Beyond the trip mines, there are vorties that jump into the room ahead, and I begin to remember how to use line of sight to my advantage. Finally. The menu consists of generic tacos, burgers, and soda, as the other cafeteria also had. One has to wonder what the athletic fitness program in the Black Mesa must look like, that everyone can eat this many empty calories and remain relatively in shape. I encountered more sentry guns and a sneaky ambush by vorties. There's a better way to deal with this, but I don't realize it the first time. As I've mentioned before, my memories are jumbled between Half-Life, the much older version of Black Mesa, and now this current version. The initial ambush catches me off guard, but I manage to deal with it, only to jump into the next section and get blown away by the other sentries. Here we are back in the cafeteria, after I've failed a few times at the section ahead. I particularly like the alternate reality food available, and this certainly has more personality than the generic tacos and burgers. Ramblers, these appear to be chips. Uppercuts and naked fries, and quavers? Not actually sure how to pronounce that. I'm always looking for alternative reality food available, and these are pretty cool. I think I figured out how you're supposed to deal with the first room. I used the sentries to deal with the ambush. I blow up the barrel, which eliminates the sentries here and allows me to progress. I fail to jump again, but this time I just run through, hitting the closure button and somehow not taking an obscene amount of damage. Here's our first scientist running to the Hiku like they are the saviors, and the soldier immediately opens fire and guns him down. I kill him from above with a pistol and acquire the SMG that I'll primarily be using to deal with the rest of the Hiku present here. More scientists get gunned down, and I realize how strong the Hiku are on hard difficulty. The fight doesn't go anywhere near my way. I'll have to keep my distance and use as much cover as possible if I'm going to have a chance here. On the second try, I attempt to use a pistol as a sniper, seemingly having some amount of success. When I run through, expecting to find another Hiku, I find that they have blown themselves up. But that one scientist is also left alive. They don't talk, so I suspect they probably weren't supposed to survive and the enemy accidentally killed themselves instead of the scientist. They sure like to throw grenades around though. Another room with Hiku on multiple floors. This feels like something that was in the original Half-Life. I get shot in the back, attempting to deal with the grunts here. I succeed in this first part only to discover there's another set that arrives. I think one fired a rocket launcher. I foolishly attempt to rush them and get slaughtered. I gotta try to remember that I'm not Rambo, and very much far from it. The second attempt I could go much better, but we do get this one Hiku posing on the stairs like he's a soldier from Platoon. That's funny. The third time I know where all the enemies are and I try to stay low for most of the fight, not running out too much. This works, and I even avoid the RPG that is fired. Somehow I even keep most of my health. You have to like these though, like how do they get up there? Do they just teleport in? What is the process of a barnacle getting above the roof? I don't understand. But if you're Russian, you'll get caught by that thing. You cross a couple bridges like this in the game, especially here in We Got Hostiles chapter. There's nothing really happens there. There's like some barnacles up there that I guess you could potentially run into. And perhaps there's a secret up there that they pull you to, and I didn't try that. But it's a nice little thing to add scale and size to an otherwise shortened chapter. This seems like a new room. It has a bunch of catwalks, and it's by far the hardest. There isn't a lot of cover, and enemies are on the floor and on the catwalks. I survived them initially, only to get ambushed by a shotgunner who was apparently oblivious to all the fighting. He wins effortlessly. I tried a whole bunch of strategies in this particular room. I tried the grenades, I waste a lot of ammo blowing up the boxes to get the HEV batteries for armor. I even jumped down the rail a few more times. I think this might be the 5th try. I get some level of success, but I just crawl by, barely able to survive. This elevator goes to the surface. It seems to go by much quicker. I know Black Mesa has streamlined a lot of the encounters. The original Half-Life was sprawling and endless in its content, but this seems fast. Surface is different, or I'm remembering incorrectly. The majority of fighting is outside with the Hiku and one of the transport choppers bombing the site. I tried to take pot shots at the enemy from the inside, but they refused to give me any clear line of fire for the most part. Outside is plenty of cover, but the chopper is dropping explosives. I attempt to get into the bunker, but it's from the wrong direction, and I don't make it around. This next run, I full send it after blowing up explosives on the enemy tower where Hiku is shooting down at me from. I rush out, gathering the HEV batteries and circling around the correct side of the bunker. All the while I'm getting shot from every direction, seemingly. Climbing down, I forget all about the Hiku rappelling down a tunnel to assault me. Inside, I'm hurrying too much and I jump down too fast, suffering a major fracture, but I continue on anyway. At least I survived. The tunnel leads us to the Hiku that's depressed that nobody's fighting back when he tries to kill them. I kill him and his partner, and they don't really fight back either.
Well, so much for the government. Their idea of containment is to kill everyone associated with the project. Judging by your hazard suit, I'd say you were part of what went wrong. Isn't that right? Now look. If anyone can end this catastrophe, it's the science team in the Lambda complex at the opposite end of the base. With the transit system out, I couldn't tell you how to get there. But there's an old decommissioned rail system somewhere through here beyond the silo complex. If you can make it through the rocket test labs, you might be able to worm your way through the old tunnels to track down whatever is left of the Lambda team. You can trust them. You can trust all of us.
So much for the government. It's almost like they are run by the Wait, isn't this supposed to be escapism? We're directed to the Lambda complex, but first we have to use the rail system to reach the rocket test labs. The scientist here believes we'll be safe from the military there, but of course, I know better. I test out my crowbar in the soda machine, causing it to spill out a bunch of sodas. These give health, so in a pinch I can heal myself from them, at least a little bit. Beyond a series of ladders, we catch a glimpse of the old rail system network. Heading down this track, we run over some hound eyes that spawn in. I stop part way to investigate a crashed rail car to see if there are any supplies on it. Speeding on down the track, I know that at some point I need to jump, but I forget exactly when. Instead of jumping when I'm supposed to, I get flown off and crater into the ground, taking half my health in the process. I wonder if perhaps I should have splashed into the radioactivity instead. Fortunately, the pipe I need to go into is right above us. Crawling out of the pipe, I get hit by another bull squid. Were they always this good at shots? I feel like they have become snipers with that acid spray that seemingly has infinite range. They're literally able to throw it across the entire level. I managed to escape the room on a pipe and immediately sniped by yet another bull squid and die. Running through this the second time, there is no bull squid at the point of the pipe where I have to jump across. Confused, I travel down and realize he's on patrol. He's further down in the radioactive dump. I kill him and immediately hit by another one that's in the radioactivity below. In fact, there are two of them wandering around. And trying to dodge all of their shots is rough. The elevator takes me to an army of hound eyes. I have to dispatch them really quickly, and suddenly I become an expert for some reason. This success doesn't last, but I bask in it for the moment. I find another bull squid below with near perfect aim, shooting me again from across the level. I blow up the explosive crates to deal with him. Here we are in the blast pit. After the scientist is dragged away, we are left to finish the job of getting the rocket online and burning out the tentacle thing. I run out into the blast pit after tossing explosives. There's a Barney here that runs out to get himself killed, barely distracting the enemy for any length of time. I don't actually make it all the way down before getting squished. The second time, I take some damage because I stopped to use explosives to blow open the boarded entryway. I think, and maybe I'm right or wrong, I'm not certain, that if I try to use a crowbar, I'll get squished. I get inside damaged, but alive. We enter the oxy-fuel section to get everything flowing so I can power up the engine rocket and deal with the tentacle thing. I jump/fall into the broken elevator that leads down into the water. There's a bull squid there, of course, and he shoots me more than once. These things are becoming my nemesis. I'm always taking damage from them. We're just gonna have to start treating them and shoot them first. This tunnel has some really winding and haphazard piping that's spread all over the tunnel. It looks like it's something from the back rooms, especially once we go up the ladder, which leads to the immense ventilation fan. This is currently off, and thanks to the Black Mesa genius architects, the on button is below the blades, and I'll demonstrate here inadvertently why that's such a bad idea. Once you get out of that, if you can, the airflow allows you to fly up the tunnel for a very short period of time into a ventilation shaft that's at the top of the airflow. Later on, we'll learn that the military is tracking us, but they must be doing a head scratcher right now, huh? We switch the fuel system online. Success. Time to deal with the power systems.
Please report status.
Back here in the blast pit, I have a momentary thought to jump down to the lower level through the broken grate instead of dealing with the tentacles, as I seem inept at dealing with them. This somehow works, and I skip a whole portion of the blast pit to get down to the airlock that leads to the power systems. There's some sleeping hound eyes here? This is an interesting encounter and a welcome addition. This seems more fitting of like Halo, or early Halo. I roll a grenade into them and blow them up. It's quite satisfying. There's an elevator above radioactive waste, and we all know what is going to happen, right? It breaks down halfway. I'm expecting it, but I can't seem to jump out. To get to the ladder, I ride it down, but the green ooze is far more dangerous than I remember it being, and I die. Second time, I attempt to jump off, but I miss a little bit and splatter at the bottom. Third time, however, we get down.
hope no one expects me to go start up the generator. Smithers went down there and never came back.
There's a bull squid inside one of the doors on the power systems, and inevitably I get splashed by its damage. I find the remains of what might be Smithers. I manage to get myself crushed in a doorway just for good measure. There's a scientist in the next room. Is this Smithers? He has a lot to say despite hiding here. The power turns on. Success! Time to burn the tentacle down in the blast pit.
Now go away, and don't tell anyone I'm here. It's survival of the fittest, the law of the jungle. We'll see who's still standing when the smoke has cleared. Did you hear something? You weren't followed, were you? I had to ditch the others. They were just dead weight, holding me back.
Be careful up ahead.
Back at the top, I cross, taking a lot of damage and almost dying, but I make it to the terminal. All we have to do is hit the button and we burn this thing out. This clears the way down to the next section. The Barney hiding in the room with explosives doesn't die like in the original game and is oddly jubilant in spite of everyone else who died trying to burn this thing down. Hopefully this will be the last time we have to deal with one of these tentacles, but of course it isn't. I head down the blast pit ladder and find the Magnum and the area to the next section. I finally reached the prelude to the rail system. This might not be the most popular opinion, but I thought On a Rail chapter in the original Half-Life was awesome. All those little vignettes with the Hiku and Zen creatures made for, at least in my opinion, an enjoyable experience. I know Black Mesa had to cut a lot of that for obvious reasons with Half-Life being too big, but I do remember there being a few nice set-piece battles between the different factions. The first sequence is the Gargantua wiping out a few of the Marines that are attempting to fight him. He burns them alive as I watch, and then he turns on me. I retreat back further, and being surprised when he just leans down and tries to shoot me through the open doorway. The side passage is the garage with the trams. I forget exactly where I need to run out, but I think it's over here. I run to the power station, which is where I will eventually electrocute him, and he attempts to shoot me through the door again. There's an injured Barney inside the security room. He directs me to the lower level where we need to turn the power back on. This is the only way to activate the trams. He thinks I can just sneak past the Gargantua, but of course I know I'll have to destroy him. In door 2 of the ladder tunnel, I get a bull squid jump scare. Naturally, I get sprayed by acid because I seem incapable of actually dodging any of those. I shoot him too many times after he's already dead, causing his body to explode. Through door number 3, we get to fight the Marines again. They have taken control of this area around the power generator. They have a veritable fortress set up outside the elevator that leads down to the generator. I try a few times to breach this without taking excessive damage. This does take a few tries. The Hiku don't mess around and have impeccable aim, which is far better than mine, as we can clearly see. There is seemingly just enough health and HEV energy around to make up for the constant drain from the accuracy of most enemies. After clearing all the debris around the generator, I'm able to turn it back on.
Attention. Search and destroy force. Go to code 3. Eliminate all biological forms.
I go back up to find the Hiku have reinforcements that have arrived. They come down the elevator and get picked off. I go up and pick off more with moderate levels of success. I had set up a trip mine earlier, attempting to anticipate where the reinforcements would come from, and it eventually pays off, killing a lone soldier attempting to charge me. On the way back, there are 4 more soldiers and a relatively tight corridor with limited areas to strafe around. I get gunned down almost instantly. I try a few different tactics that mostly fail. The SMG ends up being the real tool that I needed for this problem. Wish I could carry more ammo for the thing though. I'm always trying to conserve ammo in games like this, whether I need to or not. There's a strange possessed IV holder on wheels that once mobile seems to continue on its own. I guess we have perpetual motion in Black Mesa as well. Either that or this is the oldest house and this is just an artifact. Even after picking it up and dropping it, the object continues on its own. He's too injured to go with us. He'll just slow us down. At least that's what he says. We go out, back to the power station and electrocute the Gargantua, and head to the security station. On the way, we encounter a Barney that tells us the military boarded the launch and that the Lambda team needs the satellite in orbit in order to help stop the invasion. We must go there and launch the rocket on our own, but first we need to navigate the tram.
Hey, it's Freeman, right? Hold up a sec. One of your scientist pals said they give you a message. You're supposed to take this old rail system up to some sort of satellite delivery rocket or something. I don't know where it is exactly. The old guy was so worried about getting out alive, he didn't think to stop and tell me. Anyway, the main thing is, the military aborted the launch. So when you find the rocket, well, if you find the rocket, you'll have to get up to the control room and launch it yourself. He said something about a Lambda team needing a satellite in orbit if they were ever going to clean up this mess. Now, get going. I'm going to stick around and help any other stragglers.
On a rail takes us down into a flooded section of the rail system that works. There are only headcrabs and zombies present so far. I take it slow and easy. I don't remember much here, and I'm expecting a marine or voided around every corner. Mostly in this particular section, it's just eerily empty. As expected, Vorties eventually portal in, and I try to stop the tram, but I'm too slow and get zapped before I can reverse course. The little ground slam AoE they do is interesting. I'm pretty sure it does damage, but from behind a wall it just knocks you back a little bit. There's a Bordy and the Bull Squid, my nemesis enemy, present here. For some reason, this Bull Squid is unwilling to shoot me through the railing. He casually tries to walk around it, and I'm easily able to fill him up with bullets before he can get around. I wonder if I've found their weakness. Does railing stop them from shooting? It doesn't, but for the moment I think I've found something that can alleviate the amount of acid spray I eat every time I run into one. The tracks stop in a minor puzzle. The water here is electrified and I must turn off the power, dealing with headcrabs, barnacles, and hound eyes. Your problems here, but things will inevitably change once we start running into the Marines closer to the launch site. Diving in lets me reconnect the loose power cable, which in turn allows me to lower the railing so I can take the tram further into the complex. There's another lift for the tram. This takes it up a tunnel. I have some inkling of what to expect, so I jump off and take the ladders instead. There's a whole bunch of laser trip mines up here with turrets that are set up, as we will eventually find out the military is tracking us, so they know we're coming through here. I can't just shoot them though and knock them down, as they do far too much damage. I try grenades and get shot by the turret that's moving up the elevator behind the shaft. Grenades seem like the only option to knock the turrets over. After a few tries, I seem to get this right. Fortunately, there is also a stack of grenades at the bottom, just in case you arrived here empty-handed. You gotta admire the Hiku's spiderweb of activation lasers here. No one was getting through this without tripping them. There's some trip mines just on the track. They definitely know I'm here. This is also my signal that we're about to fight the Marines directly. I tried to sneak around the corner, but they simply know I'm there and rush out. There's only 2 of them here, so I can gather some supplies before heading into the room. Vorties teleport in, and I help them too much and then wipe out the Marines before deciding to come after me. There are even more Hiku beyond the first set, and I jump into a side room, nearly blowing off Barney's head that's hiding behind a box with a shotgun. I kill the single Marine, still in this section, and his beret falls off. Nice touch. Ahead is one of the set-piece battles with the Marines. They are fighting Vorties, but not for long. I try to hide behind a door to watch, but the windows get blown up eventually and I take some damage. There's something fascinating to watching the AIs fight in games like this. I felt the same way in the original. Black Mesa seems to have less of this, but at least they kept some of those independent battles. I take out the survivors with the Magnum, then hop on the 50 cal to take down the reinforcements that are coming in from behind. A bull squid teleports in after I open the security doors. I think I can use the railings to block the shots again, but this one doesn't care about those and shoots me anyway. I waste an SMG grenade on it, which doesn't even kill it, requiring some bullets after. I leave the Barney behind. He'll be fine, right? I'm at the underground silo with the rocket. The military has locked it in place, requiring me to clear them and the zombies out in order to allow it to be lifted to the surface for the launch. As the tram rises up the passage, we get a glimpse of the chaos. The Marines are fighting zombies, sometimes getting overrun. This is another interesting glimpse of AI on AI violence. I wish there was more of these. At the top of the lift, I kill a Marine who explodes after death. We must go down 4x4, clearing it out and unlocking the rocket on each floor. The Marines have lost in some places and won in others. They are pretty injured and don't pose a huge threat. On the bottom floor of the rocket, zombies are eating the remains of the Marines, and I headshot them with a Magnum before taking the elevator back up. I activate the controls and the rocket is lifted to the surface. We'll have to go up there and fight too. There's plenty of Marines that are going to be guarding the surface. It's a nice little addition to the game to not just have the rocket on the launch pad. The tram spins around and we head out. Time to launch this thing into orbit. There's another tram lift. I'm not fooled by this obvious trickery and jump on the ladder and climbing up, only to find that this one doesn't have any traps. I guess they didn't expect me to make it this far past the Marines in the underground launch site. They are in for a surprise either way. We go parallel with another set of tracks. The Marines are on the other tram we'll acquire after the rocket. After that, a Marine RPG hits and disables the tram. We'll have to continue on foot apparently. A bright light at the end of the tunnel makes this fight particularly difficult from this direction. The first try I get up against the main group and take them down, but then there are reinforcements that come from the direction I had just come from. This doesn't go well for me. The second try, I clear out the front, knowing the reinforcements are coming and making sure I'm in a better position to deal with them. They don't slow down, though, and just rush straight up to this side of the blockade.
Freeman. They say it was at ground zero.
The science team.
Yeah.
Shit. What, so you think this guy's responsible? Sabotage, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. All I know for sure is this guy's been killing Marines.
Oh, yeah. He'll pay. He will definitely pay.
After the blockade, we're at the door to the launch pad and we get to hear Marine chatter speculating about Freeman and then that he'll pay. They do make me pay out in some HEV energy. The launch pad is thus far the largest battle I've ever encountered. There are too many Marines around. I get shredded very quickly. Initially I take the 50 cal, but they can blow it up, apparently. Is that new? I don't remember that. The second try, the game has auto-saved me out in the middle of the combat for some reason. I could go back further with a previous save, as I've kept several of them here in case I run into issues like this, but I decide to play this out, see if I can salvage this unfortunate position. It doesn't go well. I don't know how many tries I've done from this autosave point. A Marine tries to flank around the rock to get behind me. It doesn't work out, but I appreciate that even they are trying different tactics as we are stuck in this endless loop of dying and reloading. I'm contemplating going to an earlier save when I make a run with the SMG. For some reason, this full send works. I'm able to overrun the enemy and not immediately get shredded. I even surprise a couple of the Marines that are in the bunker opening, killing them before they can even get a shot off. I'm far from unharmed, but this worked much better than prior runs. Then, afterwards, I find there's a 50 cal on the other side. That's probably what I was supposed to use to deal with this encounter, but I didn't see it until now. Oh well.
I didn't sign on for this shit. Monsters? Hell yeah. But civilians? Wanted this damn operation anyway.
This is iconic dialogue of a Marine not wanting to kill civilians. He says this, but we can clearly see that he has done his task of murdering all of the scientists here. I'm stopped by glass that is so clean I didn't realize it was behind it. I guess I can't sneak up on them, but that hasn't really worked out in the past anyway. We launch the rocket, and it's impressive, but I am left wanting the drums and riff music track from the original Half-Life. Maybe it's just nostalgia. Probably it is, actually, but some of the music tracks in the original were fantastic. It's still an impressive launch, though, even without the iconic music. This is the big tram that we saw earlier. This is going to be its final journey away from the launch site. We take it, and the Marines attempt to stop us, and the tram goes into overdrive after getting hit. It jumps the tracks and falls down into a flooded section of the Black Mesa complex. While swimming around, I think maybe I can climb this ladder, not remembering exactly where I'm supposed to go. In a hilarious turn of events, though, it breaks, and I fall to my death 2 feet into the water. What is this, Dark Souls with the falling damage? No doubt this was a bug, and as I go back and try it later without the same hilarious death, falling 2 feet into the water. The whole objective of this limited puzzle is to put the floating barrels under the platform to raise it up enough for me to jump across. This seesaw type puzzle is very prevalent in, let's say, Half-Life 2, where they really had to show off physics at every step of the way. This is just a small taste of that, and we'll get the player used to navigating underwater areas before throwing them in with the Zen fish. There's a section where there's fire spewing out of a vent. I try to close it only for another spout to erupt. I'm certain there must be a way to shut this down, but I cannot find it. Ultimately, I just run through it, and it doesn't do anywhere near the amount of damage that the Marines or any other creature does. This is the ichthyosaur? I don't know how to pronounce this. We get to see this giant Zen fish, as I'll be calling it from this point forward, as I'm not confident in my ability to actually pronounce that word. The fish jumps out of the water to murder a scientist before jumping back in. It's a nice little introduction to what you'll be facing. So when you get in that shark cage and it falls, you'll be prepared to get eaten.
Did you see it? They claim it was hauled from the Challenger Deep, but I'm positive that beast hasn't swam in terrestrial waters until a week ago. There is a tranquilizer gun in the shark cage, but I'm not sure it would work on this particular species. You are more than welcome to try your hand.
Time to get the crossbow, which will act as a sort of sniper rifle, and also the means to deal with the Zenfish we'll be running into in the future. The shark cage shudders and drops into the water after I find the crossbow and pick it up. I look around for the fish, unable to find him. I swim out of the opening, and he's swimming straight at me. 2 shots take him out. This seems too easy. There's another set of walkways. These are broken, much like the previous ones. I see a ladder and know that if I fall, I can retreat back here to get back up. I don't realize there are 2 fish below the surface, and inevitably the walkway gives out and I fall into the drink. I think I could just fight them, but they move at odd angles and are very fast. One falls, but the other one waits in ambush as I'm swimming towards the ladder. I try to deal with them and get chomped instead. Fish food. I pathetically attempt to jump over the broken walkway and instead hit the wall, falling back in. I stay and fight when I should probably just flee. I get chomped badly, and then neutralize both targets before swimming back to the ladder. How many of these things are going to be at the dam once we get there? I better hold on to some crossbow ammo for whenever that is. I really hate bull squids. I really hate them.
Gordon Freeman, it is you, isn't it? The science team has been tracking your progress with the Black Mesa security system. Unfortunately, so has the military. That suit of yours is full of tracking devices. Still, it's better than going naked in this place. It's cold in there, so you'll have to hurry. It could sap your suit power in a matter of moments. If you're bent on reaching the Lambda complex, then you'll want to keep to the older industrial areas where the security system is full of holes. It's worked for me, so far.
I enter the freezer after talking with the scientists. There's a bunch of stuff already in here, and more teleport in. I fight a few of them before realizing that the continual damage the cold is doing is just taking too much of a toll. I try to just flee to the back and jump into the vent to escape this freezing room. This is the mission where we get to encounter the assassins and also the ambush at the end of the big room. There are voidies in the tunnel, and they will also teleport in when I move further into this corridor. Boxes provide decent cover that you can use, although they tend to break in one electrical zap. At the end of this elevator, there will be a Barney who has an important message for Freeman. This Barney was probably going to warn us about the ambush. Who knows though? I guess it's time to face the invisible assassin lady who just executed him. They are fast, partially invisible, and do rapid fire damage. I can't take them out in the open, so I try to deal with them in the back. One of the doors back here can be closed, so they can only approach from one direction. The first one eats a grenade from the SMG as she was running straight at me. When no more arrive, I head back into the closed-off section to break open boxes, hoping there are some resources in them. That's when the assassin ladies decide it's time to rush me. There are 2 or probably 3 of them present, and one retreats after I eliminate the other 2. As I go back out looking for her, she pops out startling me, but I blow her up and waste ammo, unsure whether I actually got her. Pulling a switch on the upper level opens a door, but for some reason the assassin lady reinforcements don't immediately flood in. I'm able to explore the landing pads a bit in this enclosed hangar. I hear them shooting, and one leaps up on the edge of one of the landing pads. The other rushes out, and I circle around to find her near the transport trucks. All that is left now is to find the cutscene of the ambush.
Major medical attention.
Nice hit. That's the guy? Yeah. We got him. Alright, come on, give me a hand here. Jesus, this guy is heavy. Where are we taking this Freeman guy? Topside, for questioning. What the hell for? We got him. Why not just kill him now? And if they find the body? Hey, what body?
As we've seen throughout, the Hiku aren't exactly the good guys. That is the military-industrial complex for you. They drop us down into the compactor and seemingly leave. This is easy enough to get out of, and I'll have to enter the control room on the one side of the platform in order to load the crane, which will in turn open up the bottom of the compactor. This allows me to drop down into one of the very few exterior sections of the Black Mesa complex. We're essentially without our weapons again, although we get a crowbar very quickly. The game slows down a bit, throwing smaller enemies at us now. This is a change of pace from prior, but also lets them build back up to the conflict between the Marines and the Zen aliens that is yet to come. I have to pass through an industrial section of the facility. This is filled with acid and waste disposal. We get the pistol here, and I'm going to need it to deal with all the barnacles everywhere. At a shaft down, we get a view of the areas we'll have to cross to get through. Down the stairs is an HEV enemy, but ultimately this isn't the correct direction to go. These mixing machines, if that's what they're called, with radioactive waste in them, you gotta jump across them. It's actually easier than it looks, but it still takes me a few tries. At least you can't get crushed here, but that'll come in a bit. The next jumping puzzle, I spy a bull squid in a closed-off room noshing on a scientist. For once, it wasn't me getting the acid spray. This jumping section is relatively quick, although I do see some health below. I'm not injured enough to want to try this again. The waste disposal system is still active. You must follow the sewage through crushers that will kill you if you get too close to them. There are quite a few of these requiring navigation, but fortunately we don't stay here long. In this one section, after I get the Magnum, there are a pair of bull squids. I take them down. Revenge, I guess, for all the acid I've been sprayed before. Yet again, a railing-like object seems to prevent them from shooting at me, but I know it is probably this one location that is just different. Naturally, no industrial level in any game is complete without crushers. Any little tap and you are squished. There are a series of conveyor belts beyond this, requiring relatively precise jumping between them as we make our way through the industrial section. There are multiple rooms here. None of them are particularly difficult, except at the very end. I do fall into the water the first time I reach the end sequence. I take it, as I saw some stuff down there on the floor as I was on the belts. Might as well grab some extra supplies while I'm down here before heading back up. I encounter another bull squid and drop him before he can get even one spray off. Back at the end point of the conveyor belts, there is a part that requires multiple jumps. If you miss, you fall down to the floor. There's also the problem of the rolling crushers. If I'm even near them, I take half my health worth of damage. Don't ask me how many times that was required to make this work. There's another group of sleeping hound eyes. I don't have any grenades, but I do have the remote detonator. One is all I need to turn them into chunky salsa. The electrified barrier is held by a board, but I know it needs to be shot to get in. The questionable ethics chapter begins. Hard to believe we're already here. There's an alien grunt in the containment chamber, and you have a few options to deal with them. I use the gas and realize that I might be part of the problem. We're off to a good start murdering an imprisoned alien. One of the labs appears to have what might be a cannon that launches Starks. Seems like an impractical weapon in the best of circumstances. Also, why? Another one of the labs has 3 head crabs. I'm getting decent at using the crowbar to swat them as they lunge at me. Up in the observation room, I open a door to let out a bull squid. There's a button over here that says danger. I wonder what this does. The military shot up the bathroom stalls and presumably the chefs behind the kitchen counter. We already know they are the bad guys before now, but this is just further illustration of how they aren't really much different than the Zen invaders. The place is eerily deserted, but that is about to change.
Hey, buddy. It ain't no good up there. It's all sealed off. The only way out would be to find someone with scanner access who can open the front door. I'm pretty sure there's a few scientists hiding out somewhere in the labs. Maybe with the both of us looking, we can track them down and get them to let us out of here.
My stapler. A Barney comes out of an office. He says the place is in lockdown and will need a scanner access to get out. He thinks there are some scientists somewhere and offers to join me. There's some Marines here in the lobby chit-chatting. The Barney sneaks up on them behind some crates. This is actually the first group of Marines I've been able to move up on without being detected immediately.
Hey, here's the target for you.
The ambush works on these two. One up top gets some stray shots on me, but the guard takes him down. There's a shotgun on the desk counter, and the dead Marines will have an SMG. We're slowly rebuilding our arsenal. There's another lab here with green vats full of creatures. Obviously something is going to teleport down here. I place the Barney in the room with the contamination button and go down to see what shows up. Sure enough, a Vorty and a head crab teleport in, and I run back up to press the danger button. I think maybe the room is cleared, but a Vorty comes through the doorway and fires at us. Did he flee there before the electrical zapper? Either way, he doesn't cause much trouble. Yeah, don't do this. Next time I use a crossbow and let the Marine behind the trip mine soften the second one up. I'll leave the Barney in the corridor and venture further ahead on my own. I'll see if I can keep him around for when I have the scientist to open the door. I'm pretty sure there's going to be an ambush back there. Near the health station and behind a fence, we catch a glimpse of the entrance to where some of the scientists are hiding. There's no way to reach them here. We'll have to find a particularly roundabout way of accessing this room a little bit later. There's this weird Zen habitat in one area with a bunch of head crabs. The team sent to Zen actually brought some of it back. I go inside to practice my crowbar maneuvers against head crabs and do alright. You can skip this room entirely, but there is an HEV energy station inside. Sadly, the water doesn't have healing powers here. There's a corridor battle with bull squids versus a couple Marines. I watch for a bit and then eliminate all of them. I still get a taste of the acid spray though. Some things never change.
Put that down. It's a prototype.
Why aren't we using this thing?
It's much too unpredictable. Don't let it overcharge.
What do you mean overcharge?
There's a towel cannon here. We find it after Barney overcharges it, and all that remains are his boots. I swear, this is the sound of a doom door opening, though, whenever I pick it up. I thought I saw this before, but wasn't sure. You can actually pick up objects and throw them through windows and break them. Glass doesn't tend to survive in any firefights, so probably this was easy to miss. This is a nice little touch. We have to turn on all of the lasers, which in turn power a bigger laser. We'll use that to burn open the wall so we can jump down into the back area that we saw behind the fence. There are scientists hiding down there, and we'll be able to rescue them and then open the door to escape this lab. Remember this fence? We're on the other side of it. This is a weird route to get to access it, but here we are. There are scientists just through that door awaiting us to rescue them from the rogue surgical machine that trapped them.
Hello, scientist!
Oh, thank God!
Get us out of here before those military drones figure out where we're hiding. We all have retinal scanner access. If you escort us to the lobby, we can finally get out of this damn lab. Yes, but you'll have to shut down the surgical unit first. That fool Peter switched it on, but I'm afraid he never made it back.
I think I've easily run through the surgical machine. Turns out I didn't get far enough in. Shutting it down frees the scientists from their captivity, and we traverse the corridor to a pair of Marines that are stuck behind the door. Time to see what's on the other side. This fight is pretty fantastic, and it's also where the difficulty begins to ramp up. Things beyond this point are going to become problematic for me.
Wait! Wait! What? What is it? Anyone else think this was a bit too easy? Something's not right. Gordon, you don't mind taking a look, do you? We'll I'll stay here for a moment.
The snarks helped me a lot here in distracting the Marines. The enemy isn't messing around anymore, and it won't get any easier through that door. The scientist who says I should stay out of sight immediately dies outside. There are Marines set up just outside with a bunch of trucks. There are also sentries on the roof. There are a bunch of supplies out here, but health and HEV armor are going to get a bit more scarce outside as well. Oh, also, we're outside again. We'll be outside for a bit yet in this chapter, as the chapter title suggests. The tunnel door is open with us able to surprise a pair of Marines, but there are many more just out of line of sight. There are plenty of things to blow up here, and I try to use this to my advantage to take out as many as possible. I still take too much damage, but I'm going to try to keep the crossbow ammo for the Zen fish that will be in the water near the dam. I shut the gate to try to keep us out. Unfortunately, the Marines left their truck right here present, so I can just jump over it. I think my launch grenade gets one of them, but it's hard to see. I jump over the truck and deal with the reinforcements both from the building as well as further down the dam. It's easy to tell this isn't the first time I've had to replay this section. A chopper rolls over the hills and we get a short little battle with it, and they take the 50 cal and force its retreat before running across the bridge. That crumbles. A pair of Zen fish try to circle strafe around me sequentially. I deal with them and then climb up the ladder of the tower. This will allow me to open the grating below, which will allow me to cross to the other side of the dam. Just awesome getting here. This whole part, all of it is good. As is probably noticeable, I've moved the difficulty from hard to Black Mesa. The battles at hard require you to not make any mistake at all, and that's simply beyond my ability to not make a mistake. I do want a challenge, but I also don't want to have to deal with the impeccable aim the Marines have at hard. As we'll see later, I'll still be walking through a minefield at 5 hit points. Over this hill, there are a bunch of Marines. I don't do particularly well here, but I generally don't reload unless I've really messed up. Arguably, by the end of this, I'm at 5 hit points, which, might be considered having really messed up, but I just went with it. There's this one Marine at the railings where I shoot multiple times and later find that he died standing up somehow, but I couldn't tell from where I was at. Time to walk through a minefield. The game gives you a few grenades. I blow up some grenades and then instantly die from head crabs hiding in the sand. 5 hit points doesn't go very far, it turns out. After a few tries, I'm able to pick out the mines from the grass. Now I just have to deal with a multitude of head crabs that are hiding in the sand. I use a shotgun as a minesweeper as well as a few grenades. One grenade creates a massive chain reaction, clearing out a bunch of mines. There's still plenty to go through, however. Creeping along, I see HEV armor and a box that has health. Finally, I'm not almost dead. I do take a burning head crab that I thought was dead, but otherwise I managed to make it through the tunnel unscathed. The tunnel leads out into a canyon cliff. A trio of jets rush overhead. I try to find a path down that doesn't involve me falling to my death. I'll do more of that later though. There are Marines further down, and I use a few well-placed launch grenades to deal with them, since I'm lacking health for any direct confrontation. I run out too quickly though. I try to use a crossbow and shoot a Marine through a crevice, but the game doesn't agree. There's this one section which has health and HEV terminal in it. I have to replay this over and over. I've left myself with no health. I can take maybe a shot or two. There are only 2 guys until you kill them, and 3 more pour out of a guard tower below. Initially, I can't find them and get sniped. This takes precise aiming to deal with. Somehow, though, I'm able to get through this, and I can heal up a bit now. Down at the guardhouse, we find a bunch of rockets. Ruh-roh. I already know where this is going, but the game sets you up for it anyway. The rocket launcher is in a cave that has armored doors. Inside there are 2 sentry guns, and then the rocket launcher is on a table in the back corner, along with a bunch more ammo. At the front there is also creative ammo, just in case you didn't know what was about to happen. The chopper comes around the corner, but I forget you have to turn on the red dot to guide the rocket. This thing takes a lot of shots, but fortunately you can hide behind a wall when the chain gun spins up. The pilot's aiming of the rockets also seems relatively forgiving. In the original Half-Life, the chopper had been harassing you for a while, and you get to destroy it here, which is quite satisfying. This Marine stronghold has a tank. They are holding these places, but the deeper we go in, the more desperate the situation would become for the Hiku. The tank here rolls out of the way and then blows open the wall to deal with us. The Tau cannon seems capable of taking out the tank, so I chunk it from behind the side of the wall. Previously, I've tried multiple times with the rocket launcher, which seemed harder to use with the tank so close. The Marines are dug in, and they will be dug in almost everywhere. I charge one of the Hiku, and instead of shooting me as I get stuck reloading, he merely screams at me. Snipers are here. They use a dying Barney as bait to kill the scientist. I find him up in some broken grate, and that a rocket launcher seems to fix his particular problem nicely. There will be more snipers like this ahead. We are back in yet another minefield. I'm getting pretty good at seeing them now, so I use a shotgun and grenades to clear a path through the electric fence. There's a sniper in the camouflage section of the wall behind you after you cross the fence. This surprises me, and I switch to snipers instead of the launcher in a slight panic, taking a shot in the process. He still blows up nicely though. I particularly like the Gibbs that burst out of his hiding spot.
You're heading for the Lambda complex, aren't you? I was heading there myself until I wound up here and, well, I simply lost my nerve. Take one look through that door and you'll see what I mean. I'm going to wait out the catastrophe in here. If you intend to go on, then I beg of you, for all our sake, proceed with extreme caution.
This is quite the room. You get to navigate a bunch of trip mines that are all linked together with explosives. If one goes off, the entire place explodes. Pretty much instant death. There are also a few head grabs around just to annoy anyone attempting to pass through. I make some missteps here and there. The best is the elevator with the box, and I'm pretty sure I made that same mistake years ago when I last played this section of Black Mesa. You can actually approach from either side, and I end up doing both after dying to the box. Once I raise the platform, I can jump across, and we pick up the Hornet gun. Yeah, no, for sure, sticking your hand into this thing seems like a good idea after everything we've seen, right? Down below, we get to save a Barney running from a pair of Marines. I test out the Hornet gun. I gotta get used to its unique and weird way of firing. Seems to work well enough though, and the ammo regenerates, so I've always got something available no matter what. This Barney that I rescued previously, he mentions a weapon cache that his partner and him were going after before the ambush. I decided not to take him up into the meat grinder ahead, in case I need his scanner access to get in. The situation on the surface for the Marines is becoming a lot more desperate. We see them fighting alien grunts that are dropped in by air support, and then a bomber rushes in to blow those up. Reinforcements pop through the open opposite gate with an APC. The few stragglers left aren't too difficult for me to deal with. Yeah, there's a sniper up there. I already knew it was there from previous Half-Lives. I use a rocket, send his pieces flying. The group of Marines at the bottom floor of the cache are no doubt trying to find a way in. I go all the way back to get the Barney through the remains and take him back to this particular building.
If there's any... Freeze!
Whoa, whoa, hold your fire! Jackson? Good God, man, how many lives do you have?
None if it wasn't for my new buddy here. Hey, buzz us in, will you? Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Holy shit. Not bad, huh? Not bad. You hit the mother load. What can I say? I got expensive taste. Well, damned if I'm not glad to see a familiar face. What say you, me, and the doc here grab what we can and get the hell out of Dodge? We should probably wait a while. Let things die down a bit. Well, I guess I'll take a load off.
Guns. Lots of guns. We are set up nicely now, and there's even an HEV terminal in the back to top off our armor. We're going to need all this with the chaos that lies ahead of us. I take a pair of Marines by surprise for once. There's another group in the bombed out office structure. They aren't taken surprised though. But they do seem more disorganized here. This is yet another battle sequence. The Chinook drops off Marines that battle the Zen invaders. I try to sit back and watch the entertainment. Ultimately though, I'm always the greater threat, and they eventually turn their attention upon me. Swoops back in, depositing yet another group of Marines. I fire a rocket at it, unsure if I can destroy it. The chopper seems to be burning from the first rocket, so I try a second one, destroying it. More enemies pop in, likely triggered by the Chinook's destruction. Can't remember. Could you destroy it in the original Half-Life? Across the battlefield there was a tow cannon that I must manually reload and use to destroy a tank that comes through the opposite gate. I wonder if the tow cannon would be better for this, as I have to take some damage to play with the tow. There's a mounted gun here, reminiscent of Half-Life. Initially I can't grab it in a way that lets me aim it, but eventually I'm able to get on it and deal with the teleporting vorties. They give nicely once I'm able to actually use a gun appropriately. Outside in the bombed out garage, the Marines are battling Zen invaders. I don't get over quick enough to see much of the battle. The Hiku are getting overrun by Zen's unlimited numbers. Near the top of the garage, I find a battle on street level. I try to watch this as well, but the alien grunts always realize I'm the main character and turn to deal with me, even though there are still Marines on the street. I just want to watch the AI on AI violence. Is that too much to ask? This is different. Zen seems to be invading Earth. There's a tunnel with Zen-like growth within, as well as a bunch of angry snarks. I do remember in Half-Life it was pouring through a bit, but this is a lot more noticeable. I get to learn why when I throw snarks at Marines they are so dangerous, however. Their crowbar seems effective, but they explode when they die. There's really no easy way to take them out. The Marines hear my little antics up in the vent, and they set up an ambush to shoot the vent. When I pass through a certain section, this drops me into a room I'm unprepared for. Eventually I try backing up, and this just aggroes two more Marines that are behind a fence. Ultimately, snarks are the answer. Snarks are always the answer. This time they eat up the Marines and start to come after me, but fortunately their timer had run out. Jumping through the window, there appears to be an empty courtyard with a 50 cal emplacement. Nothing going to happen here, right? plenty of Marines to deal with. I ignore the 50 cal for some reason and try to flank them. Eventually I see a trio of explosive crates near where one enemy is hiding, and I blow these up. This, however, unleashes a bunch of alien grunts. I try to fight them, but they know they have me surrounded and don't waste much time. The next time I come out with a crossbow and blow the gate right away. There's some AI fighting I can watch here, but I observe too long and the alien grunts wipe out the Marines and then get tired of me watching their fight. In most of these situations, it seems like it is simply better to just kill everyone. But there's just something about AI factions fighting each other that draws me to it. The radio has transmissions that indicate how badly the Hiku are doing against the endless invasion forces of Zen. This is a nice little touch if you stop to listen for a little bit. I get to watch another large-scale battle around a chopper. Is this the group that was on the radio? The refueling truck of the chopper gets blown up from stray fire, clearing out half of almost everything, as well as destroying the chopper. Reinforcements with an APC bust through the gate, but they are not a match for the sheer number of Zen invaders present. The APC's destruction means I've got to join the fray as they look up and see the main character watching them. I almost feel sorry for the Marines, but then I remember the Hiku massacring the scientists back at the beginning. No mercy. There's this quiet sequence where we walk through a tunnel amid the remains of the conflict. There are military vehicles spread out, gear and supplies unloaded, as well as the obvious signs of battle on the street level below. This somber moment is interrupted by an alien grunt throwing a Marine through a wall, reminding us that there's still a war being fought out there. The area opens up to another bombed-out office building that's overlooking a street with a massive battle between the Hiku and the Zen invaders. I get to watch this one as the Marines begin to push back the invading forces with a tank until an alien bomber destroys it. More Zen invaders pop in to deal with the Marine stragglers, and finally the enemy realizes that the main character is leering at them from the office building. This is a great illustration of how the battle is turning against the Hiku and the situation is becoming more desperate as time progresses. I have to gain roof access, but at the top there's a crank door we must open. The problem is there are a pair of snipers across the street. They are holed up in a way that makes it difficult to deal with them even with the rocket launcher. The reward for defeating them, however, is the zombies behind the boarded door burst open and attack. Behind that, however, is some HEV armor to make up for it though. Here's the Marine with the explosive in the pipe. I don't back up fast enough, but it doesn't work out for him either. In here, the Marines are fighting zombies and getting overrun. They use entirely too many grenades and blow up their own people along with the enemy. The Marines use the grenades like they have a bag of holding filled to the brim with them, but usually I'm the one that has to deal with it. When they have to deal with it, they don't last very long. Yeah, no, this looks safe, right?
Well, don't that beat all? You're Dr. Freeman, aren't you? Well, the good news is, you just ran into the only guy for about half a mile who has Lambda codes. The bad news is these guys are blocking the frickin' goal line. I say we do this nice and quiet. They look distracted enough.
As you can see here, there are Marines blocking our access route through the hangar. We actually get to do a stealth sequence, although you can just go loud and kill them if you want. I choose stealth, but they see us at the end because the Barney with me is hesitant to cross through the security door, even though he's getting shot. Here we are back at the bombed out street we were at before. Now we get to use the mounted gun that I sniped a Marine off of earlier. Zen reinforcements materialize and I hold them off while the Barney gets a door open. We made it and he opens the door. This next sequence is probably supposed to be dark humor, as the Barney is mentioning how this could have gone much worse, but I find it disturbing at best when an alien grunt teleports in and beats him to death after the door closes behind him. This was difficult to hear. Essentially, the Marines are being ordered to withdraw, and the President has ordered an evacuation for the entire state because of unknown forces present in and around Black Mesa. You could run right past this and never hear it, but this is great world building happening on this car radio. I love this and wish it was more prominent in the game, and easier to hear. This area looks like a place where they had the wounded, triage as it were. Zen apparently attacked and the Marines stood their ground and fought to the death. There's a ton of environmental storytelling here spread out all over the place. There's a radio in the background. I can see the subtitles, but I'm unable to exactly locate where it is. This is detailing an injured soldier being given medical advice as he's apparently stranded and his fellows are all dead. You can just taste the world building happening right now. As we're approaching a half-open gate with a burning car behind it, we're greeted with a familiar growl echoing from within. Now, I already know this sequence. Even though Black Mesa deviates from the original game a bit, it still follows the basic plot. I'm going to be getting some cardio in once we pass through, and I'm not looking back until we reach our objective. There being this much ground shake, I almost fall off here. This is actually pretty hard to target with this much screen shake. I also take a moment to figure out how the bomb targeting actually works. Once I figure it out though, we turn another gargantua into big old chunks. You also have to blow up the fuel truck in order to knock the radio tower down, clearing a route to the gate that's out in front.
Not only are we way behind enemy lines, we just missed the last flight out of here. I sure hope you brought some backup, Poindexter, because we're gonna need it.
I tried to keep this Barney alive using the turrets to deal with the Zen reinforcements, believing he might be good fire support later, but pretty quickly I realized he can't climb ladders, so I just have to leave him behind. We're just gonna jump right over this deeper section of water, no real reason or anything. It's not like there was a Zen fish in it or anything. Don't ask me how I know this. The exterior shows us the air war happening outside between the Hiku and the invaders. Not going particularly well, as we're greeted by a bombing run of multiple APCs and Marines. More Marines pour out and I have to deal with them. They have a tank and nowhere is safe. At one point the tank destroys a group of rocks which fall on top of me. There's a lot of ebb and flow here as the Marines move in and fall back. I must do the same. Eventually I deal with the tank, which gives me some breathing room to move about the battlefield. All the while, you have the air war above us. Isn't this just like 6 months from now, minus the aliens? Alright, this is escapism. My bad. We're finally nearing the Lambda section of the base. There's one last major battle between the Hiku and the invaders in a garage. I partake in this one, as there's not a very good viewing angle for it. I lay down some rocketry to deal with the huge force of alien grunts that push through an open gate. The Marines don't fare well in these cramped quarters where they can't move and the tank was almost useless to them. They did take on enough to be useful to me though. Here's another cargo elevator that moves down into the Lambda core, and I'm expecting an ambush the whole way. Nope, I could have just enjoyed the ride, but I was convinced something was going to attack. There's a bull squid at the bottom, and 2 more pop in after its death. I remember the good old days when these were my nemesis enemies, but after surface tension, I'm just not concerned by them much anymore. I enter a warehouse with a bunch of trip mines on the floor. And the assassin ladies have taken up residence here. I set up some trip mines while taking refuge in one of the huge containers, hearing their tapping as they move all around me. One even eventually runs up and kicks me as I'm navigating the warehouse maze. Because they can long jump, seemingly, the trip mines are less effective, but I do hear an explosion or two. Oh look, it's a big room with a bunch of supplies and just this one section in the middle. What could possibly go wrong? Enemies materialize on the lower portion, and once you clear those, more teleport in from behind. Use a towel cannon here. I don't use this a lot, mostly preferring the gluon gun, which we're actually going to get very soon.
I apologize, Dr. Freeman, but I'm sure you understand that I couldn't risk opening that door until you had scoured the area. This is the last entrance to the Lambda complex. Every other has been sealed off to contain the invasion. When we realized that you might actually make it here, we drew straws to see who would stay behind and let you through. Obviously, I drew the short one. My colleagues are waiting at the tip of the Lambda reactor. Waiting for you, I mean. The reactor is shut down right now, but you can activate it on your way up. You'll have to flood the core anyway to get into the teleportation labs. You're not authorized to know about those, but I can see you already know a great deal more than any one man is supposed to.
Were you in weapons research too? I built the gluon gun, but I just can't bring myself to use it on another living creature. It doesn't appear that you have any trouble killing things. You can take her with you, but please promise to put her to good use.
Yeah, this is going to be helpful in a bit when we're in the core and running out of ammo. Looking forward to it. Houndies are here to greet us and blowing up explosive barrels that are scattered everywhere down here. Around the corner, there are a pair of Vorties that appear to be eating the remains of some scientists. Time to go get our instructions for passing through to the teleportation lab.
You are a sight for sore eyes. Head on downstairs. The old man's got a plan to get us out of this mess.
Freeman, isn't it? Look here. You'll need to activate both pumps to flood the reactor. And then that access pipe down there will take you onto the core. Hurry on now, son. Time is short.
Flood the core and then we can swim through the teleportation lab. Got it. The enemy here is going to be particularly dense. For the first time, I'm actually going to start running out of ammo. Lifts in particular seem to anger the forces of Zen, and you'll see more than a few Vorties just from doing that. I don't exactly know where to go in this first section, having to move deeper in. Bombing from above is still happening, and we get to experience occasional shuddering down here. In this second room, Vorties spawn in huge numbers, 2 or 3 at a time, and the door shuts behind me. I have to use my limited cache of launched grenades to deal with them, but now I actually have to aim. Jumping down seems to cause more to spawn. There are also barnacles. Vorties can miss their strikes though. I don't think I remembered this happening before, but I'll take it. You can't simply turn the pump on, of course. You must go down to the tank and hit a switch before climbing back up and turning the pump back on. Fortunately, the tank fills up, and that's one pump out of the way. Pump 2 is initially a little different. The top room has some stuff in it, but you have to go down and activate the vent. But the vent is also an elevator. This takes me a moment to figure out. This route leads to the actual vent we need to open, and then the room kind of looks similar to the previous one. Although the controls are on the opposite side of the room from the previous pump, there are plenty of barnacles and spawning Vorties. We switch it on and watch as water fills up from a monitor near the switch station. More Vorties appear after the pump is on. Gotta get used to them. They're gonna be a lot of what we fight around the core. And even beyond. Crossbow works amazingly well here. Is there anything this doesn't work on? 40s might be able to dodge SMGs and shotguns, but they don't do well against a crossbow. Although they will later.
You've turned on the pumps. Now take the access pipe, flood the core, and get on up to the labs without delay.
Another big room with another big fight. Time to use some of the glue-on gun ammo that's been stacking up. Everything else is getting close to empty. This weapon is so good. Such a big upgrade from the Tau cannon. It, much like the crossbow, just sort of deals with everything that can be thrown against you. Only problem is I don't have quite enough ammo for the entire room. I'm getting low on ammo on just about everything by this point, except for maybe explosives. The core doesn't have much in the way of like spares lying around. Hopefully this changes soon. Instead of just taking the ladder down, I just jump down to the bottom of the tank and take massive damage. For a moment, I think to myself I should just reload and try this better. Then I dismiss that idea and carry on like major fractures are no biggie. Who needs bones to walk anyway? This should be a quick little battle around the core, but instead it depletes ammo and armor alike. The 40s have an advantage here when in these cramped quarters when I can't simply strafe behind a wall. There's also one that spawned behind me and surprises me. Time to climb up to the core and see if I remember how the teleportation lab works. Hint, I don't. Yeah, I get to navigate this. It isn't too bad. If I had more patience, I probably wouldn't get hit at all. I've already spawned up here, and they are far more patient than I am when it comes to crossing where the lasers are shooting. It is a zoo up there, says the Barney. He's right, aliens, runts, and Vorties. Through a window, I see the G-Man walking through a teleporter. I think this is the first time I've remembered to catch a glimpse of him moving around the complex. No doubt I've missed a dozen glimpses by this point. We'll make up for lost time with his monologue in Zen. I'm looking forward to that. Welcome to the teleportation labs. I don't remember any of this. There's a bunch of trial and error to find the correct route. And more than a few times falling, dying, getting crushed. There's a lot of dying that happens here before I find out where I'm supposed to go. During one of the incorrect routes I take, I encountered a Vorty that somehow dodged a crossbow bolt. I guess they can dodge those after all. Through a bit of trial and error and death, we find the old married couple and the Barney's stuck with them. They might think they have it bad here, but at least they don't have to deal with falling and getting crushed over and over again. I have to watch where the platforms are to teleport up to them when there's a platform available. There's still a lot of trial and error, and number 9 teleport just seems to instantly kill you. That's nice. Seven is the one I want. taking us to the other room. What do I even call this place? I don't know anymore. Everywhere just has teleporters and moving floors and crushing walls. Pushing the button on these opposite ends of walls, it disengages them and opens up a new teleporter that takes us much further up. I'm hoping this is over. I've been in the teleportation labs too long. Please let me out. An arduously long lift takes us up to one of the few locations still held by the Black Mesa team. After scanning us, they let us in for an extended sequence. We're about to go start the teleporter to Zen and put a stop to the invasion. Well, at least until Half-Life 2 anyway.
Gordon Freeman, you finally found us!
So this is the guy, huh? Thought you'd never make it.
Oh, nonsense, Hunter. Nothing stands in the way of our errant knight in shining, high-impact reactive armor.
Guess not.
Right then. This way, Dr. Freeman. We've been expecting you. What you see before you is the supply depot for our first survey team. Quite a few handsome specimens were collected from the border world and brought back this way. Before the survey members started being collected themselves, that is. These readings have given us reason to suspect that there is an immense portal over there, created and maintained by the intense concentration of a single powerful being. I'm sure that you will know it when you see it. I am loath to say this, Gordon, but you must kill it.
Yeah, you better kill it. No ifs, ands, or asses about it.
Of course, you owe us nothing, Dr. Freeman. But you've come this far. You know as much about these creatures as anyone.
Enough to know that if you don't wipe it out, well, let's put it this way. There ain't gonna be much for you to come home to.
Yes. So if you're willing, my colleague is waiting for you at the main portal controls. Dr. Steinman will open the gates for you. And don't let Hunter's brash attitude frighten you. We've all been a wee bit rankled since the incident. He'll equip you with the proper armaments for the task ahead. Do hurry.
Dr. Freeman, so glad you made it. I've one final accoutrement for you. This is the long jump module. I created it expressly for navigation in the world beyond. I certainly hope you've received long jump training, because once you're in Zen, you will need it.
So, you're actually gonna go through with this, huh? You're braver than you look. This here's my personal collection. The best military-grade hardware this side of the Rio Grande. Have at it.
Guns. Lots of guns. Now crap, I've already used this line before, but it applies a whole lot better here than it did back in Surface Tension.
Hello, Freeman. I'm up here. Practice your long jump if you must, but hurry up. All right. I can open the portal now. The process is complicated, and once it has begun, I must not be interrupted or I'll have to start all over again. Don't enter the beam until I give the okay. Understood? I will begin.
The Lambda reactor core looks amazing. Maybe it's just a nostalgia speaking, but this is phenomenal work. Up here we have a scientist. He's going to power up the gate and we'll get attacked by controllers and boardies. The glue-on gun will make this relatively easy, but it's hard to dodge controller damage. We'll have to deal with quite a few of them before the portal charges up and I run through. I'm pretty sure Adrian Shepard's like 30 seconds behind me here. I think you can even jump through the portal after Freeman and create a paradox as one of the weird endings in Opposing Force. I've mentioned this before, but when I played Black Mesa in the past, Zen was still being worked on. I've seen some of it in videos, but not like this. This is nothing short of amazing. Zen has been remixed a little bit with Avatar, and I'm here for it. Beautiful doesn't even begin to describe things. This is also a fully featured chapter instead of a weird aside mini episode like the original. I'm not prepared for the scale of it though, at this point. I'm just expecting a short little jaunt. Oh, that's a brilliant start. I found it, the healing water. It's not just a little puddle either. There's a whole flow of this stuff, and I love the sound it makes. There will be these little puddles later on, but it's really cool to see this huge river-like structure of it. Hound Eyes. This is Zen's gently reminding me that I'm in hostile territory, while still being awed by the visuals.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
Yeah, I don't have long jump training. There are quite a few jumps I'm going to fail. I think maybe this is just a me problem, but if I had a complaint, it's just how many jumps require precise positioning to succeed. Minor gripe though, while looking at how beautiful Zen is.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
This thing holding a crystal, I don't get what it is at first, until I go through the other side and realize it's some sort of organic crystalline power source. In fact, it actually kind of looks like the crystal we used way back in the beginning to start this whole mess. We'll be seeing a lot more of these unique Zen power generators throughout. After shooting down this fauna or flora or whatever this thing is on the ceiling, I get zapped by the crystal. Initially I think it's hurting me, but then I realize it's charging my shields, so we can heal and repair our energy. We'll be finding a lot more of these later. I love how settled Zen looks with the bridges, platforms, and equipment everywhere. Black Mesa is certainly setting up a major operation here. Well, at least they were before they got noticed. There's a Zen fish that jumps out of the water. I get the crossbow to take it down, suspecting that its jump indicates it could grab me, but I can't find it again. Maybe it was just psychological warfare, or I just got lucky and didn't get snarfed. There's a base here, Subnautica style. This makes perfect sense, of course. They would build a lab in Zen. I don't think we saw anything remotely like this in the original, but I love the addition here. The thing I don't like are these HEV zombies. They go down easily enough, but this is a disturbing addition. The base is also in shambles and requires us to navigate through its remains to get the power back on. This also teaches the player that the crystals are a power source. We'll use this one to get the base power back on. In the future we'll be getting more than a few crystals to power other things.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
Here's yet another dramatic visage of Zen. There's even a Zen tree over here spiking a bull squid. Everything is beautiful, but it's starting to get dangerous now. There's a lily pad thing in the water. We'll have to get used to jumping across those, or in my case, not really. We have to take a path across giant bioluminescent leaves. I've already mentioned Avatar is mixed in here with Zen, and this is even more apparent now. I love the fusion of the two though. This plant, or whatever it is we're looking at here, if you shoot it, it powers up the cable, which in turn lowers the leaves. Everything is powered here in one way or another. I go up this thing twice before I find out how to proceed around the corner. There's a healing puddle present here too. Exploding hound eyes? Looks like it. There's going to be another bigger species of hound eyes later too. These red ones come in packs, but seem to explode in groups when one is shot. These red cables, for lack of a better term, these lead to the plant-like structures that need shooting to activate. You can just follow them to find the source. Then once shooting them, this usually moves or opens up leads to other areas. This in turn allows us to activate another cable that opens up a jump pad that lets us find the crystal to power the generator I saw outside. We can then power the teleporter and jump to the next section. Interesting little puzzles to do here, so it's not always just fighting. At least here in the beginning. This next section has 3 cables. We must follow each of these sequentially to activate them in order to proceed to the next area. How did the teams from Black Mesa navigate this place originally? Following the first line, we find some snark webs, which are reminiscent of the type that Gunark makes, but more on that later. At the bottom of this, where we unleash a ton of snarks, is a circle of explosive plants. Foolishly, I shoot one to deal with the snarks below, and blow up the entire room, including myself.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
I might be saying this a lot, but I genuinely don't get this jump. Again, probably a me problem, but even when I make it, it just doesn't click how I actually succeeded to do it. The second one has a bunch of bull squid snipers on platforms designed to make sure you eat acid spray. They still have their sniper aim, but there's plenty of room to dodge out here, unlike back on Black Mesa.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
Actually made this the first time and then failed to jump down, forcing me to redo it as the game didn't autosave after. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong, but this takes too many tries. I clearly needed that long jump training that was mentioned previously. Weirdly, the third cable has trip mines and explosive plants around it. Isn't initially clear, but if you blow up any of these, you die. I even tried tossing a grenade from far away just to see, but if anything explodes, you die. There are sleeping hound eyes further in who will trigger the explosion. For some reason, I assume they must be killed, but actually you can just walk right past them, making this section trivial once you figure that out. Found the buff Chad hound eye that murders the bull squid before charging me. Not tough, just dangerous if they get close. Lily pad jumping over here, as well as a Subnautica-inspired underwater barnacle. The game gives me an example of what they do, and I just swim right into one anyway. At least there aren't any Zen fish, at least until there is. A few long jumps later, and I readily cross the section where the Zen fish are. Maybe I'm getting the hang of these long jumps after all, but probably not. This section you blow open the bottom with some explosive plants, and then Zen fish come in to eat you. Crossbow doing some heavy lifting here again. The next section is a maze of underwater barnacles that I seem incapable of hurting. Maybe they are invulnerable until they open up? I don't know. I swim around them anyway. The reward at the end is a shield crystal and healing puddle, so it's almost like I didn't take any damage. This bizarre path. Hound eyes and exploding hound eyes are all over this thing. There's even a bull squid up at the top in what is likely an optional room with some ammo I'm always needing now. Found our first wire, got to unplug it to turn off the shielding that prevents us from proceeding forward. Little introduction before you have to start using these regularly. So I guess this is basically Zen's version of a teleportation lab. We attempt to activate the portal, but it fails. There are 3 sections we'll need to complete puzzles for in order to activate. I'm not the smartest dude on the internet, so I do struggle with some of these for a bit. Still, like seeing the alien computing systems present on Zen. First pylon, gotta find a crystal to put into the thingamajig. Oh, must have something to do with these wires in the back. Unfortunately, I don't understand what arrows mean and leave it in the wrong slot. After too many tries, I eventually find the answer simply by the process of elimination. Hooray! Door opens up and there's a power crystal in the back. Push the button and power up the pylon. 1 down.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
Gears are turning. Slowly. Almost get crushed here. Also, I think those are explosive plants up there now that I'm looking at them again. Rocket was clearly vastly overkill.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
This jump was also seemingly impossible, but I made it by holding crouch. Has that been my problem all along? Maybe I'll find out. Second pylon has a bunch of explosive plants around that kill you if one detonates. We've seen this twice before. At least. Still, I have to try. Yeah, that didn't work. This one has me stumped for a long time, in part due to not realizing I could completely remove the plug from the power socket. I'll use that as an excuse for why it took so long. Sure. You take the plug from the room with the det packs on the ground and put it in the wall socket in the other room. This creates a force field and now the door is closable. Toss in a det pack in the other room and then close the door. You're effectively isolating yourself from the rest of the area and you can detonate your det pack. This allows us to clear the block plug. Then you do the same thing for the isolated room, as the crystalline structure there drops the energy crystal when destroyed. The third pylon is relatively simple. It requires 2 sets of cord, one short, one long. Not finding a place to insert the cord slows me down a bit, but once I find that, I begin to understand.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
Once I make this jump, in spite of the clear lack of long jump training that I haven't received, I discover that I'm above the main command room I found initially. Pulling the plug lets me drop down with a conveniently placed power crystal. Inserting this allows me to finally create a stable portal to Gonarch's lair. Gonarch's lair is not what I expected. It is big and sprawling, and we'll be traveling quite a distance to actually get to the pit battle with Gonarch. We start out in a wide open arena with quite the visage. Seems to be no shortage of those. There are 2 pillars, for lack of a better word, that will power a teleporter off to one side. As soon as we jump down, we hear a rumble up Gonarch. Supply crates are teleported in. I think these are being transported here by the Black Mesa team, who must be monitoring my progress, but I'm not entirely certain. Once you power up the teleporter and jump inside, Gonarch digs herself out of the ground, I guess, and interrupts the process to start our battle. You can long jump backwards and sideways. If only I had that long jump training, I'd have already known that. I'll need this extra mobility to deal with Gonarch, who is fast, aggressive, and hits way too hard. I get knocked out of the arena one time, and eventually switch to heavier weapons once I realize how tough she is. The rocket launcher also appears to be the weapon of choice, as the glue-on gun doesn't really stun her. Eventually she runs off, and I re-equip. It's going to be a very long chase. The first section of the interior layer has a series of explosives set up from what is presumably the previous teams. I don't know how they managed to set up in Gonarch's lair and also survive, but I guess they did. Detonate explosives, blow open a wall. We'll need to do this several times to advance through the cave system. You got burned down the webs here from the exploded gases emitted from the quote-unquote plant nearby. This can be ignited with a flare, but eventually I figure out just shooting it works. Later, there will be some sort of flammable liquid on the floor too. That'll be problematic for us. We find our adversary on the other side of the canyon, lobbing gaseous explosives at us. I use the rocket launcher and glue-on gun. I'm not entirely sure whether I'm doing any damage here. Most of our encounters aren't relevant until we get to the pit battle. Here we find ourselves trapped under a web, and Gonarch is attempting to stab us and then unleashing her young upon me. I'm not sure what to do, but it seems like a timed survival event, as eventually the explosives present are detonated, and we can leave this area with 1,000 Gonarch young. We find her again. I think I'm supposed to fight, and then realize I'm just supposed to run. We'll be running away for a while. Another room with crystals in it. I again don't realize I just need to run and try instead of trying to fight. Eventually I break the scripting where Gonarch just freezes. You just blow up the crystals and run away. Use some long jumps to get away if you have the training.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
At the top of this hill, there's a detonator. You blow the crystals up. This causes one to fall, creating a bridge, very reminiscent of the radio tower back in Surface Tension. Gonarch is also hit by a cave-in, forcing her to retreat. Acid pools, 2 short of long jumps, and then a spiky thing that insta-kills me upon jumping on it. You actually have to jump into this giant pit, but the game has trained me not to jump into what are potentially bottomless pits. This one's okay though. I mistakenly believed that we're going to have it out with Gonarch right here, and then one of her rounds knocks the bridge down. Time to find an alternate route, and what an alternate route is going to be. Yeah, just run away. Falling into the water, I see these vents with explosives near them. There's a new mechanic, shoot the explosives and cause the water to rise. We're gonna flood Gonarch's lair, at least enough so we can rise to the top and fight her. This is actually a fun little sequence. Slowly fill up the cave system and then swim up. That's a lot of head crabs. Time to use a couple of these dead packs I almost never utilize. Of course there's a Zen fish in here. Why not? For some reason he sinks when dead though. Shooting the vent here lights up the flammable liquids and webs. This causes Gonarch to initially flee. Time for another sequence running down a place. The fire follows me, almost along the flammable liquid, sometimes burning the webs before I get to them. Long jumps help me get ahead. The room opens up into the pit battle, and presumably Black Mesa sends a resource container to aid us. Gluon gun is ineffectual again, and I find rockets stun her for a moment as I can't seem to backpedal fast enough to avoid her attacks. She takes enough damage that she shakes the chamber enough to knock stuff loose, which breaks the floor and we fall deeper. There's another container of supplies teleported in here, but more importantly it has rockets. Gonarch might as well be flashing red as she enters her final form. She eats most of my rockets again, spewing out the green gas everywhere. I think the crossbow is the final kill shot here, and she explodes. I don't know how I beat her my first try. Was expecting to die here more than once. Got close more than a few times. Beyond Gonarch's lair is the factory. Looks a whole lot more expansive, like I guess everything in Zen now.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
Vorties are slaves, and we find a group of alien grunts beating them. I have a whole lot more sympathy for them now, and you get that feeling throughout. They aren't willing combatants. Yeah, nothing phallic about this lift. No, sir. An elevator leads us to a teleporter room that the Vorties are using to transport themselves off. One sees me and opens a door. I guess they are helping me now? Some of them, at least. I listen to them argue over roasting head crab. Yum. Head crab in a pot. Nice. Not too convinced about the cuisine around here though. Hitting the button for the teleporter up here alerts security. Controllers materialize in and take control of the Vorties. I see how it is. I try not to kill too many Vorties. What a reversal from Black Mesa. The Gluon gun works well here, as it did at the Lambda Core. I do take some damage from the controlled Vorties though. On the ground, one is crying over his dead friend. This is pretty sad. Yeah, look at this jumping puzzle. Maybe I'm finally getting that long jump training I've been needing for so long. Oh look, it's a gargantua in a cage. I think I can fight it initially, since I have the Gluon gun. And then realize it isn't just one. They are all over the place. Running and getting long jump training. Everywhere I go, there are more cage gargantua that break out of the cages. I could barely handle one of these in Black Mesa, let alone what appears to be an army.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
We've entered the factory. One of the Vorties sees me and pulls out a plug, facilitating my entryway. We have to power up a series of rising platforms with cables in them in order to progress. The power cables are scattered about in haphazard locations all over each of the different stations. Sometimes overcharging some of these requires me to discharge energy, otherwise the platform is electrified. Then I can jump to the next factory station to repeat this process. The final station alerts security and more controllers pop in they use their telekinesis to pick up debris and toss it at me. The glue-on gun is always my choice here, as tapping it vaporizes them. There are some Vorty slaves here that get controlled for a time as well. I have to release the pressure on various rising platforms to proceed. This eventually leads me to the exit to the next section. Then is big. I was not expecting the sheer size of everything, and we're not even at the conveyor belts yet. I guess we found Zen's stock up Hornet guns, or hive hands, whatever they're called. These might belong to the souped up alien grunts we'll encounter in a little bit. For now, there's just a few jumps to get up. This is the end of a relatively simple plug puzzle. Once I plug in the main one, the alarm goes off and some controllers pop in. The glue-on gun removes the threat. We'll even find pylons later on that recharge it. I guess this means I'm doing it the way it's supposed to be done. I resist killing the Vorties, but I won't be so lenient later on when we get to the conveyor belt section of the factory. I instantly know I need to grab a green explosive canister. I don't know where I'm using this yet, but obviously the game is signaling that I should grab one. It is in the water, and the top of the cylinder that's under the water is an area we can break open with explosives. Jumping into this, we are pushed through the cylinder. We're pumped down to a bunch of alien grunts underwater. This is likely some sort of growing vat. They aren't armed yet, but they look angry. Through a climbing section, we find beams of pain everywhere, as well as some Vorties who are dead. We have to climb up and destroy the overflow thingamajig thing. This alerts security, and the controllers rip everything free, which also frees me, otherwise, you know, I might be trapped here forever. Thanks, guys. Our initial encounter with the Uber alien grunts is unpleasant. They can jump, run, and even fire automatic versions of the Hornet gun. I need to adjust my tactics. Just running up and gunning isn't going to work on them. At least not very long. Ironically, their own weapon, the Hornet gun, turns out to be the better choice. It's slower, but I can bounce it off walls to deal with them. I take my time getting through this section. They just spit out too much damage to face tank. There's a couple sections like this too. These green pylons charge the glue-on gun, giving me effectively infinite ammo. This makes fighting the controllers and alien grunts a lot less difficult. I wouldn't say easy though. Grunts come out at the end and the controllers start breaking the glass above. I survived, kind of. The factory. It's a lot bigger than the original. We'll be going all the way up there too. We'll also be taking some weird alternative paths around force fields. Riding the conveyor belts we cut across when we encounter a force field. Here's one of the alternate paths, climbing up some conduit and then jumping across. Another path is just bypassing the force field on a platform with a 40 factory worker who just completely ignores my presence. We have to go down a factory route with red lasers. I assume they are kill lasers and dodge all of them except for the jump one. It just hurts a little bit. We'll find more than a few of these. One, there's a whole active puzzle that's pretty cool. This is a weird staircase. Ruh-roh, we've been detected and are diverted to some pretty strict security systems that seem completely overboard for a potential foreign agent on a crate. Were they just expecting me to be here? First we have a crusher. Can't have a factory in a game without a crusher. Next are some beams up and down to make sure there's nothing still there after being crushed. Finally, there is a circling beam that we have to run between. All this just in case something foreign is on the crate. The security in this particular location is wild. For some reason, I wasn't recording during my first run, so I have to do this again, and I don't do as well. Still, this gauntlet is awesome. The controllers and the air and the green explosives where the voids are. I don't spare that many this time. I don't have the shields to deal with their lightning. Some ailing grunt pods burst open and I have to eliminate them too. Fortunately, we have unlimited gluon ammo, or this would be potentially impossible. Right at the end, I barely escape with a whole 6 hit points. So, we have 3 power conduits that must be disabled in order to remove the 3 force fields to make the massive jump up. The first room is a bunch of controllers in a relatively circular room with some cover on the ceiling. Unlimited charging gluon gun though, so there is that. Killing all of them, the floor opens up with a jump pad. We go inside to disable the power globes. This causes lasers to rain down. I think I dodged one and just kinda ate the rest. At the bottom, we break open one that fills up the corridor and propels us out to deal with the force field power node. Every return trip leads us back to the charging station where we can heal and get HEV energy to full. That's nice. There's a Vorti working here that just pretends we're not there every time. The second room has a shielded controller and a bunch of Vorti slaves. He possesses some of them and I have to clear them to get to the energy nodes, which are protected from different directions. Once his shields are down, we instantly kill him. One more jump pad in the floor and we jump down a tunnel with random red lasers that I kinda pretend to dodge through. Bursting the main one causes the place to flood again, and I have to dodge the lasers in reverse now. We have access to the force field node again. The third one is a shielded controller playing with his balls. No, literally, he's throwing around a bunch of circular stones. This one is the easiest so far, just remove the shields and blast him while dodging his balls. The tunnel down, I have to take out shields sequentially with spinning beams. The middle one is instant death, others don't seem to be much of a problem. Flooding the chamber gets us access to the final generator.
I certainly hope you've received long jump training.
Going up. What is this? This elevator thing goes up forever. I don't realize it yet, but I'm gonna have to fight the whole way up there. We're gonna make the controllers go extinct with the amount of them that I have to kill. Also have to blast through shielded generators here to kill the singular controller. Nice little introduction before we're fighting multiples. This elevator is one long fight tube. In one section, there are multiple controllers with multiple shielded generators for each of them. I have to take out a generator to be able to eliminate the controller. Oh, also alien grunts teleport in too, because why not? Party up here in the death tube. Look at this crazy layered generator. There are multiple ones of these. I have to break in and destroy the generator behind the shields so that I can kill the controller that's protected by this. Oh, also the floor might as well be lava. Just when I think we're finally free of the controller army, they grab the elevator and pull it down for one last brawl. The one's holding a glow, so I only have to eliminate those in order to release the elevator and head back up. For some reason, when the level loads, I'm stuck. Even death doesn't free me, so I have to reload and fight the last battle again in order to move up. Might be the first bug I encountered, so I can't really complain. This weird room with a bunch of Black Mesa items, scientists, and even a Barney. I guess they are studying us? Is this a galaxy map? This is the portal that will lead us to the Nihilith. He tells me he is the last. At least he doesn't talk backwards in this version of the game. I jump through the portal and I have no idea what to do. Eventually I figure out that the shield generators can be taken out. There's crystals behind the shields. Gluon gun and rockets seem to work well. Gotta clear the shielding first to get the crystals underneath. Once the generators are down, we collapse a bunch of supply stations around the arena. I finally realize that I can shoot the shields now and get through to him directly. After hurting him enough, some pylons come up they draws energy from, destroying those, and then continue shooting. The more damage he takes, the more dangerous he seems to become. Once I destroy the second set of pylons, he sets the arena in motion and I get destroyed more than a few times. I use everything I have to hit him with as much damage as I can, while trying to avoid, well, you know, everything. He summons a shield periodically, requiring me to jump around it in order to even hit him. All the while, he's zapping me with everything. There is limited mobility because the arena behind me is moving. Once he takes enough damage, his head opens up, and you get to shoot what passes for a brain.
Gordon Freeman in the flesh. Or rather, in the hazard suit. I took the liberty of relieving you of your weapons. Most of them were government property. As for the suit, I think you've earned it. The border world, Zen, is in our control. For the time being, thanks to you. Quite a nasty piece of work you managed over there. I am impressed. That's why I'm here, Mr. Freeman. I have recommended your services to my employers. And they have authorized me to offer you a job. They agree with me that you have limitless potential. You've proved yourself a decisive man, so I don't expect you'll have any trouble deciding what to do. If you're interested, just step into the portal and I will take that as a yes. Otherwise, well, I can offer you a battle you have no chance of winning. Rather an anticlimax after what you've just survived. Wisely done, Mr. Freeman. I will see you up ahead.
What an incredible journey. They might have cut some minor corners here and there, but everything that's here is just fantastic. They even expanded Zen to its own real chapter. This whole journey is tasty from a nostalgic standpoint. I can't help but seeing the original Half-Life and how much better some of the stuff here is to the original. We'll never get a Half-Life 3, but this is a pretty awesome consolation prize. Oh yeah, also check out these menus. They seem to be based on the chapter you're in sometimes. I didn't notice these right away, but they were pretty cool. If you somehow made it this far, suffered through all of that, well, thank you for watching, and have a great the rest of your week.